Marcie, can you hear me?
Hey, how are ya?
Hey, we talked a while ago, but you were feeling under the weather or something, so I didn't get to see your face. I'm
Now you see me.
Now.
How's it going?
Doing? I'm great. I'm great.
Good.
How about you?
Good. Good. I didn't know you were in this group.
Yeah, this is how I met Austin, and then how I eventually started talking to you. Mike is the connector.
Yes. Yeah, Mike is definitely a connector. That's for sure. We'll be talking about one of your favorite subjects today.
Bookkeeping. Oh yeah. So I think I've figured out QuickBooks. It took me a long time, and we'll see if my accountant actually like bites off on what I've been doing, because I think like everything balances, everything reconciles, but I don't know if it's exactly how she wants it done. So I am very much looking forward to hearing all of your stuff.
What are you recording?
So basically the way I have it set up is any income, I've got a bank account set up for each property that we have, and the Airbnb proceeds route directly into that account. And then in QuickBooks, I go through and basically pay any expenses out of those accounts as long as they're associated with that listing. So we have one listing, we pay the cleaners out of that one account. And then we have our operational account, which is where we pay any fees or anything associated with just our business. So the money funds, or the money flows into the property accounts, and then any net income, like essentially our fees, are getting taken out of that account and into our operating account. And that's how we've been doing it.
Well, you're kind of like having to deal with two, like just basic bookkeeping as well as some trust accounting. So
yeah.
I don't know if your CPA will get into that with you, the trust accounting side of it, but that's good. And then also, so you're doing property management or rental arbitrage, or what are you doing?
We're doing property management. Yes. So we're just co-hosting, and I use class tracking in QuickBooks to keep track of all of the different
units,
properties.
Okay. All right. And how many different owners?
We have 3 signed and more in the works.
Oh, exciting.
I know. I'll be coming at you soon. Give me like,
hey, Mike, I'm just giving
months.
a little private consultation here while we're waiting for you to sign on with me.
All right. What's up, crew? Thank you, Marcie, for being here. This will be a good one. I'm excited. All right. Sorry I'm a little late. Just running around like a crazy person today. But let me just double check something. So Marcie, did you want to go through a presentation? Or you want to do more like interview style, whatever you think is going to be most beneficial for these guys?
Well, I have like a kind of short presentation prepared, and then that'll probably drive some questions. And I'm not sure how much time you have, but I'm sure we'll have time for questions, because that's probably what we want to talk about.
Yeah, we usually shoot for an hour, but I want to be respectful of your time too. So I think I got an echo from somebody. I'm just going to mute anybody that's not talking. So why don't we do Why don't we just do a brief intro for you, and then we'll go through your presentation. We'll open it up for questions. Guys, Marcie is my bookkeeper for my business. We've probably known each other for a couple of years now since I got in the business through another mastermind that I was in. We hung out together in Puerto Rico at the Legends Mastermind, which was awesome. And we've been working together since probably, I don't know, September, October timeframe now. And she's just helped me get a real hold on my business, my numbers, really trying to dial in profitability. Because again, this business generates amazing cash flow, but if you're not managing it properly, it just goes out the window. And she actually helped me identify, what was it, like 35 or 3,600 bucks that Airbnb like erroneously misheld because I forgot to set up some certain tax things, and she caught that for me. So having somebody on your team that can like look into this stuff and help you dial into your numbers is huge. So that is my brief spiel intro on Marcie. So if you want to give everybody just like a little bit more on your background, and then we'll get into it.
Sure. Well, my name is Marcie Harris, and I'm a co-founder and partner of Organized Gains, and we're a bookkeeping and accounting firm specifically for real estate investors. So those are the only types of clients we're taking right now, are real estate investors, and that's keeping us really busy, and we're having a lot of fun with that. My partner, Brandon, is also a real estate investor, and I'm also a short-term rental operator. So I have a few investment properties that we work the business. We're having a lot of fun in the short-term rental industry, and we've always loved it. Both my partner and I and my family have traveled using short-term rentals, and we decided to invest in it a few years back. So that keeps us basically aware of what's going on in the industry and some of the struggles that everyone is dealing with in the short-term rental industry. I partnered with Brandon. His specialties are more in automation and online marketing. And so together with my accounting background, I'm a former corporate accountant. I'm very happy to be in small business, helping small business, and that's really where my heart and passion is. So that's a little bit about me, and I ended up getting started in this business by meeting somebody who was running short-term rentals on scale, and it kind of blew my mind because the amount of transactions and the lack of support in the accounting industry was really apparent that there's a need for somebody to tackle this issue, and we've been having fun doing that this is our third year. All right, awesome. So should I share my screen or we're good at that?
Let's get right into it.
Okay. Okay, so basically, like I mentioned, our bookkeeping firm is designed to help short-term rentals, long-term rentals, house flippers, but most of our time is taken up by the short-term rentals just because the high volume of transactions and also the need for accurate data in a quick, timely manner. Let's see here. So I'm going to start off with this quote. This is from one of my favorite books, Think and Grow Rich. And this quote just states, "The time will never be just right. Start where you are, stand and work with whatever tools you may have at your command, and better tools will be found as you go along." So I'm sure that this quote kind of resonates in the short-term rental industry. As you guys got started, there's really nothing that's perfectly designed for this industry. I kind of like to say it's all duct taped together and always changing. My mind was kind of blown when I went to the Vacation Rental Management Association national meeting in New Orleans and saw the amount of money going into technology to service the short-term rental industry. It's just amazing that new tools are coming out all the time, but in spite of things not being perfect, you all took the plunge into the market and are working with what is available to you at the time. This also applies to the accounting for this business. There is no SaaS software that's going to produce the property statements that you need and give you a bottom line P&L. Unfortunately, it does take, at least from my experience, somebody who understands the business and knows what they're doing to get to those numbers. No matter where you are in your business, if you're fully operating, you're just getting started, you're a seasoned veteran, there are some core best practices that you should be instilling in your business at no matter what level. And these are the ones that I see from my point of view as like bookkeeping, accounting, and tax compliance. And that's saving your receipts, invoices, and contracts. Even if you're not employing a bookkeeper or hiring an office manager, which you're probably not going to do, you have to save your receipts, invoice, and contracts. Like, this is just a must. And there's so many tools that are available to you to do this right now. I'm sure you don't have a file cabinet and an office space, but you can save and file your receipts and archive them so that you can access them in the future, and also produce them to do your books and also be compliant for an audit. Number 2, best practice is you have to separate your business and personal spending. Just do this, like, from day one. Do not spend from your personal account on your business. This is easier said than done. I get it. I'm a small business owner myself, but there are ways to spend your personal money without creating a bookkeeping nightmare or a tax concern from your CPA. Just take money and deposit it into a business account that you have dedicated to this business. You can do this. Also, if you have credit card spending, or you're setting up new units, you're growing super fast, just dedicate certain credit cards to the business, whether they're in your name or not, just to avoid a lot of extra bookkeeping. And then categorize your expenses. So you're going to want to know, like, what did it cost you to do certain activities in your business. Accounting software is the easiest way to do this. Also, some people will do this on spreadsheets, but it's important to know, separate your asset purchases from your owner contribution. If you are depositing money into your business, you need to keep track of that. Your CPA will file whatever you give them. So just keep that in mind. They're not super interested in the ins and outs of your business. They want to file your taxes for you. And so this is really up to you to present all of this information to them. There are modern tools out there to help you accomplish bookkeeping in a little easier way. At our company, we've selected Xero accounting software, and the reason why we use Xero is it just more easily integrates with the different systems that we use than QuickBooks. QuickBooks is a little bit more, they want to build their own little systems, the ecosystem for you to live in. And Xero is wide open and accepts any kind of automation that you can give it. So as we're processing Airbnb payments and importing in booking.com and using your API from Guesty, like all of these tools offer CSVs that we can download and upload into Xero, and it makes things just much easier to do. Expensify, Receipt Bank are also ways to save your receipts. HubDoc is what we use that integrates directly with Xero. Machine reads your invoices and takes away data entry errors. So there are modern tools out there that will help you with accounting. It's a little bit more intuitive than it was in the past. Also links up your bank accounts, tracks your numbers so you don't miss anything, and avoids data entry, which nobody should be doing anymore with these modern tools. This also is going to replace your file cabinet. There's no reason to have a file cabinet if you can get your receipts into one of these programs. You'll have them forever and no shoebox at the end of the year. Another best practice is having your income statements. At Organized Gains, we do believe, and especially if you're a property manager, if you're using that model, you need to have income statements by property so that you can see, make sure you're capturing all of your expenses, make sure you're billing back the owners, making sure you're looking at your bottom line, view your expense categories, compare properties, and identify trends. Financial statements are also, of course, used to produce your tax returns. Now, bookkeeping is bookkeeping, so it's not like we've cracked some secret code, but what we do is we live in these programs. So as you scale and you grow your business, these transactions just multiply exponentially. And what I found when other bookkeeping firms are trying to keep up with the amount of transactions, they just get overwhelmed by the data entry. And so that's kind of where we come in. We understand these systems, And this is just an example of somebody who's running a high volume business and they have 16 reservations that paid out on one payout. So that means 16 different locations, 16 different payouts, 16 different fees. And this basically is 84 accounting lines to get this into your books. The data entry, if you're not using modern tools, will just overwhelm any typical bookkeeping firm. It's just not going to be able to keep up. And also to do it accurately. We've developed a system to import all this data, match it up with the correct unit so that you have a complete reconciliation, because time is of the essence when you're working in a property management model. You can't wait for somebody to data enter all of these and hopefully you hope that you got paid for them. We also live in Airbnb. We know what tricks and things they pull. We see it in one customer, and we can share that with all of our other customers. We can look for held back payments, look for hidden money that Airbnb holds away from people. And also when they have other things going on, like we found one day, like one whole day, a payout was delayed for over 3 weeks, and it was just one particular day, a snafu in Airbnb, and we got on the phone calling and calling till this money was released. Probably would have been found anyway, but at least we could trace that it was not paid out and do something about it. This information was then shared with all of our clients, so that they were able to also follow up on these payments that were held up. Airbnb processes millions of payments every day. They're going to make mistakes, and your income has to be reconciled. There's no way around it. And when you're getting in 84, hopefully, you're at the point where you're getting in this number of reservations, 84 accounting lines, you're going to need some help with it at some point. And when you do get help, just make sure that it's done in an automated fashion. This is another one of the things that we do for our clients because of our experience of finding Airbnb holding out payments. This is something you should check if you're not already doing this on your Airbnb account. If you go into the transaction history, you check in upcoming payments right here. If you look in upcoming payments and if you have a date that is in the past, that means Airbnb is holding money from you that should have been dispersed. And these get held up for whatever reason. It could be like an adjustment was made to a reservation and that second payment, like their credit card failed. Well, on your end, you don't have any way to charge the customers. That's all Airbnb's doing on their end. They're responsible to collect the money. But this money will sit here until you call. There's no automatic trigger to release these kinds of little snafus that happen in Airbnb. So, pretty much anytime we bring on a new client, we find anywhere from $100 up to $8,000 just sitting here. And the only thing we had to do to get this released was call Airbnb and be diligent and follow up on it. So you need somebody who's doing this. We do this twice a month for all of our customers. Some payouts are stubborn, but I feel like we've gotten the majority of the money paid out just by being diligent and working together with you guys.
We just had this past month, right, Marcie? It was like $2,400. We just had this past month with that guest. Yeah. It was like $2,400 that just wasn't coming through.
It was just one reservation that they just get held up for whatever reason. And Airbnb has no process in place to release the money once, it's just a terrible system on their part. So as part of our process, we basically, I can't call on your behalf, but basically we just let you know, hey, you didn't get paid out for this reservation. It's going to show in Guesty that it was paid, and it's going to show, you're going to probably pay out your owners on it as well. So it's just another thing that is an extra step that we have found and surprised us, and we've added it into our process.
It'll show as paid out in smartbnb too, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
The problem is most of the time in resolutions, and also if there's an adjustment, because normally, and also since they started the 2 payouts, they can allow you to make 2 payments now in Airbnb. If that first payment goes through, it's going to get booked and block your calendar. If the second payout doesn't go through, I think you'll get a message for it, but it doesn't automatically cancel the reservation. So you could easily miss a message coming through and have somebody stay at your place and they didn't really pay for that second payment. Seen that kind of happen both ways, but even if the person does pay, sometimes it just gets trapped in this little like black hole of Airbnb. So any successful STR business is you just have to have great data. You need it to accurately pay out your owners to attract investors. There's not going to be too many investors who are going to be interested in working with you if you don't have books. Just by a byproduct of the way we require source documents, receipts, invoices on everything, you're going to withstand an audit. Basically, if you did get audited by the IRS, you would just hand over your accounting software. All the receipts would be archived within the accounting software, which is really nice. And then also just bringing some peace of mind that somebody's tracking your payments, someone's making sure the money's actually going into the bank and reconciling not only the expenses, but also the income. So that's it. So I'd love to just open it up to any questions if anybody has anything, or Mike, if you turn it back to you.
Yeah, and just to, again, reiterate the point of being able to attract investors, right? Like the whole hotel deal that we're doing now, that would have never happened if I didn't have good books, good ownership reporting, obviously delivering results for the owner. But, you know, he's a developer, he's an investor, he wants to see the numbers, right? And having those consistent numbers every month and having clean reports that he can review every month, that's crucial in creating confidence in them to continue to invest with us and grow the portfolio. And I mean, you work with a lot of heavy operators that have anywhere from a couple of units all the way up to over 100 units at this point. So any other things that you've noticed from working with some of the other larger operators? Because again, once you start adding units, everything just kind of multiplies. Like the impact of every decision just multiplies. So it's important that you get it dialed in early before you grow too big.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do feel like in the early time, it is an investment in your business to kind of develop these processes. But as you know, like Mike, like one missed expense could kill your, your management fee if you miss it. It's like the margins are so tight and keeping track of everything is just really important. And as I've seen different operators grow, paying attention to their numbers was just really key in it. They didn't feel confident until they were able to say, okay, I know what my numbers are. And then it changes like their complete mindset on it. And it is an interesting item to insert into your business, because your business is going to operate without it. You can go out and get owners, and you can go out and start, renting units and setting up units, but at some point you're going to need to get a hold of it, and it's much more difficult, and you lose a lot of data the longer that you wait. So.
At what point do you think it makes sense, like whether it's a unit amount or a revenue amount, to bring on like a professional bookkeeper like yourself?
Well, I mean, we kind of in our company, we stayed about 5 units is where things kind of really start to get messy. That's a lot of payouts, a lot of expenses that are getting split. And if you're trying to do it on spreadsheets, you're just not going to be reconciling it back to the bank. So I think that by 5 units, you should have a pretty good solid plan for your bookkeeping, whatever you decide to do. I mean,
Gotcha.
If you're doing the property management, you still have to produce income statements, but you could probably do that on a spreadsheet, or picking up some bookkeeping on your own, or having somebody help you. Even if they weren't in the industry, there's going to be people who understand bookkeeping who can help you. It's just going to be a certain point where it's like, yeah, it gets a little out of control.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. Anybody on the line have any questions for Marcie or about bookkeeping or finances in general?
I got one, Mike.
What's up, Meech?
All right, so if I'm currently doing it on QuickBooks, manually importing it, not at 5 yet, but how easy is it to transfer over to Xero if I were to go to someone like you, give you my QuickBooks file and go from there? And do you retroactively like look back through what I've done so far this year, or is it just starting, I come to you, from that point forward, we use your system?
Well, it just kind of depends on the quality of the file that comes in. Like, we would definitely take a look at it. Oh my goodness, your baby's so cute. I'm distracted now. The file, the QuickBooks file, is easily convertible to Xero. They're interchangeable between the two. The past bookkeeping, I see all kinds of files. I'm sure yours is probably pretty clean because you probably don't know how, don't know the tricks to really screw stuff up. But I would always take a look, because I have an interest in our clients and how they're doing and how they're presenting their taxes, and then also for historical data. But I wouldn't rework everything if it didn't need to be done at all. I mean, as long as your bank account's balanced, we would get to some kind of starting point, and then I would probably start from there. Some people come to me and they don't have any books for maybe like an entire year. And, we will catch people up, but just to know, like, if you don't have anything, even spreadsheets, you're losing a lot of data. So we can only do what we can do, and we try to get that out of the way as like fast as possible so we can get current good data.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah.
All right, we got some other folks on here. Anybody else have questions about bookkeeping and getting your books right? So we got Bernie, Steve, D is on, Tommy's on, Dan's on. Anybody else have questions on bookkeeping?
I mean, I'll keep on going. I can riff. If no one else has any, I have some.
I have a question.
Go for it. Oh.
Is it good to extend your first year tax return just to get everything right when you're starting this?
I would check with your CPA, but I don't see that. I would rather have a correct set of books, than give yourself a little bit more time. I don't think it's going to hurt you to extend, especially because, I mean, I don't know your tax situation, but you're probably not going to owe in your first year of operation. You're probably going to have a lot of nice write-offs. March 15th is the corporate tax deadline. So if you're an LLC or S Corp, that's going to be the deadline. If you're a sole proprietor, you have until April 15th. If you extend, you have all the way until September 15th to get everything in order. But there is something to say to just getting it done. Like, I have to say, it feels really good just to get it done. So dragging it all the way till October probably isn't going to give you better results. It's probably just going to allow you to procrastinate a little bit longer, or delay maybe getting some help if you need some to get the books in order. I think your CPA could also help you, just direct you into what they actually need to file the tax return. And just so you're like, I'm sure you probably already know this, but the CPA has different goals than maybe like your bookkeeper or your operations, whoever's recording your operations. As far as your operations go, like, we're really interested in how to improve operations, how to show profitability, how to, make sure you get paid for everything. Like, it's just kind of a different function. And the CPA is interested in maybe doing what's best for your tax return, maybe whatever your goals are. If you want to show a high income 1 year for a certain goal, or you want to pay the least amount of taxes, that really has nothing to do with your operational books, if that makes sense, because there's things that you could write off, there's things you could depreciate, and all of that is a tax strategy that, I don't do any taxes at all, but what we do is try to present really clean books to your CPA so that they can help you with those tax strategies. A lot of times the CPAs will get really jumbled up books and they really don't know what happened. So we're very clean. We keep things very, you know, and we even like communicate with the CPAs because a lot of CPAs don't understand the business.
Mies, did you have a couple more questions, buddy?
Oh yeah. All right. So if you're incorporating profit first, what does that look like? Are you familiar with profit first?
Yes, I'm familiar with profit first. I think with the property management model, which I think is what you're all practicing, if that's correct.
That's correct.
The trust accounting is a little bit more important than the profit first, but you can do both at the same time. And basically, when you get your, you know, you have your income coming in, that's going to come into a trust account that holds the deposits. At the end of the month, or when you do your reconciliation, you're going to transfer out the expenses that you spent. Those are going to go into your operating account. Then you're going to pay yourself. That's going to go into your, what's that called in profit first? Your owner
compensation.
Owner compensation account. Yeah. You're going to put money into the taxes, especially if you're remitting taxes. It's a little bit different in profit first. You should be putting aside some money for taxes based on your strategy. A lot of people don't pay taxes in the beginning because there's a lot of expenses. But with the property management, you could, just depending on how you're structured, you're going to want to set aside some money for income taxes, stuck with a big bill at the end of the year. And then whatever other types of things you've determined that you need to set money for in your business to help with cash flow. And it's totally doable. It just takes a strategy at the end of the month to basically cut up your profits and where do they go? How much, what are your percentages? Have you figured out what your percentages are? Like how much is profit? How much is going to be reinvested in business? How much needs to go to taxes? And how much needs to go to your operational account? So you can keep, you know, make sure you can pay everybody who needs payment.
That totally makes sense. Is that something you guys take on for the people you work with?
We definitely support it. So basically we don't charge extra for the additional accounts. It is really up to you. Like we can help, and especially by providing data, your percentages are basically up to you based on your goals.
Right.
We can help with that. We can help facilitate it, but it is kind of like it has to come from your business plan. Where do you want to be? How do you want to allocate this extra income?
Sure. Okay,
and to do profit first, you have to have some knowledge of what is left. I mean, if you're not doing your books, you're not going to know. You know?
Well, you know what's left in profit first because you put that first, and then you got to figure everything else out.
We got to figure your profits first, though. And if you don't know what your profits are, and you hold money away, and you actually needed that money for something, so it takes a little bit of practice to get it. But almost all of my clients use some method. About 75% of my clients use some method of profit first and find it valuable for cash flow.
Awesome, thanks.
All right, guys, any other questions for Marcie?
Yeah, this is Stephen. I'll ask a very simple question. Bear with me here. In terms of your receipts and putting that all together, can I assume that you need an itemized receipt as opposed to a Visa statement that says Lowe's for $400? Is that of any use to have that, the credit card receipt, or do you need the itemized receipt when claiming?
Okay, so good question. I get this a lot. The itemized receipt is essential, and it's essential for a couple of reasons. If you get audited, the line on the Lowe's credit card is not going to cut it if the IRS is looking at that category. Yeah. Because basically the IRS is saying, well, you could have spent this on, you know, your home or whatever. They want an itemized receipt to see that they're business expenses. So, and also like number two, so our bookkeeping will cover you in case of an audit, but it also is a source document for how we should be categorizing your books. So to be honest, like I've been a small business bookkeeper for many years, for 20 some years. And if you do not provide receipts, your bookkeeper is guessing at what you spent the money on. There's just no way to know. By looking at Lowe's, all right, we're going to put this all in repair and maintenance. And that's not the business that you guys are running. You guys are running specific expenses that go to specific properties. So somehow you have to tell your bookkeeper that this Lowe's receipt is for unit A and unit B and split it 50-50. So if you have to tell me that anyway, there's no better way than to tell me than by when you're at the checkout stand at Lowe's, you snap a picture of your receipt and you just push it to me right at that point, right on your phone. You're done. There's no like finding the receipt later. There's no like, so we're basically killing two birds with one stone there. You're telling us how to book it, who to charge, like what, property owner needs to be charged for it. And we're backing you up in case of an audit. So that's kind of our
Steve,
philosophy
just to give
on it.
you, just to give you context, literally anytime I buy something, I carry around a little pen with me. And like she said, the second that receipt prints, I write the unit name on it. And if it's repairs or supplies or whatever, I snap a photo of it. I send it to Marcie, and then I send another copy to my Google Drive just so I have it so I can compare. And then I crumple that receipt out and I throw it away. And that's it, like literally, because I don't want to have to go back at my desk. I used to keep paper copies and I'm like, did I send that? Did I not send that? Now it's like the second I buy something, I write it out. I send one copy to Marcie and then I upload the other one to my Google Drive. And then I reconcile them together like weekly now with her. So
then we just basically, for all of our clients, we know this is real-time stuff going on. So at each week we give like some sort of reconciliation, like, hey, we're missing these receipts, get these in. Mike will say, hey, I don't have that receipt. It didn't make it to the photo. We categorize it. It's still fresh in Mike's mind. He knows what he spent it on and we move on. It's like, so that's basically our philosophy on it. It's possible now using these modern tools. And again, if Mike got audited, all of those, he wouldn't have to be pulling receipts out of his shoebox from under his bed, which I'm sure would all be there. But so
presumably that includes utilities too. You get digital invoices for utilities. You put that aside. How about, and this will be my last specific example. We just did a trip down, so things like gas, claiming mileage. Can I pull that off of a Visa bill, or again, is it the paper invoice all the time? Paper receipt.
Well, honestly, it is your business, so you can do whatever you want in that. And with the automobile, that's a little bit, there's a couple of different ways you can do the automobile. If you're writing off mileage, then you just keep a log and you write off whatever the federal write-off amount is for the year. So if you drove 1,000 miles and the write-off is 53 cents, then that's how much you're going to write off for that trip. A lot of CPAs like to see that because honestly, if you're using your car, you're using it for personal and business, or you have to claim you're only using it for personal. The mileage just makes it really clean and it doesn't really require a lot of receipts. It just requires a log, which the IRS probably, you should keep a log. If you got audited, you could get a log, I'm sure.
Yeah, once I went full-time with this, then my CPA recommended to change it. So now I, just like everything, I take a photo of the gas, the lease on the car, all that kind of stuff, and we do it. And then at the end of the year, if I have to claim a percentage of that as personal versus business, you can do that. But the easiest way, like Marcie was saying initially, is to just do the mileage. And I don't know what the 2020 rate is, but you can just Google like 2020 IRS mileage rate and it'll pop up.
Yeah. Okay. And then it kind of depends. One might be like, if you have a really like economy car that gets really good gas mileage, the federal deductions might even actually be better. But if you have a higher price car, that's just definitely a tax strategy. But if you're writing off fuel, you should have a receipt for fuel.
Ouch. Okay. Lesson learned.
Okay. And honestly, like that's like just a best practice, because if you get audited, the IRS might not even look at fuel and might not even be a concern. So it's not like you've ruined everything if you haven't done it this way. We just say, this is so easy to do. Like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Keep yourself covered. Because the last thing you want is for the IRS to audit you and then come in and say, we're deducting all of your gas for a year because you didn't, it's just a risk, and you're taking all kinds of risks, and that's one that you can easily
I'll create a log. We just did 2,500 miles in 8 days, so
Woo.
it's worth documenting this, and I'll do the best I can with the gas, you know, say that I was gone and justify it through dates, but definitely moving forward, it'll be pictures of receipts, and that's it. That's the bottom
Get
line.
your meals too.
Yeah, meals as
Right.
well. And make sure you note them as travel meals, because those are handled
Yes.
differently by the IRS than just like business lunches. So travel meals are different.
Okay, thanks.
Anything else, guys?
Yeah, hi, this is Bernie. I have one quick question. So, all of this talk about audits is it's a little scary. So the question I have, and it's kind of more of a tax than bookkeeping, but is the Airbnb business like high risk because of the nature of it and more susceptible to audit, or is it about the same as other businesses?
Well, that's actually a good question. I don't think, I'm trying to think if any of my clients have been through an audit in the last 3 years. And I don't think they have, but my partner, my business partner, who's an entrepreneur, and he's an e-commerce seller on Amazon, he was audited. So I was his bookkeeper at the time, which is a great way to vet a business partner, is to be their bookkeeper. But we went through that audit together, and we basically set our company based on what we learned from that audit and what the IRS asked for, and what is so easy to do that it doesn't really require extra work. But I do kind of feel like that there could be some emphasis on the Airbnb business, just because first, maybe some of the larger operators, people start this business with a couch and a phone. You know, it could be kind of easy pickings for the IRS, to be honest. You know, people probably don't have their best practices set up when they get started, and then all of a sudden they're making a lot of money. So I haven't seen that. I do have some operators that are bringing in $3.5 million a year. They have not been audited, but I guess the way I operate is I don't want my clients to say, like, why didn't you tell me? And so I'm telling you how to protect yourself in an audit. I'm not trying to scare you, but it is, you know, this is the environment that we live in as small business owners, that an audit can be very intrusive and interruptive to our business. And so we don't want to give the IRS any reason to take money from us that they don't deserve.
Okay, thanks.
And I have heard,
Oh.
just real quick, that I have heard that you're at a higher risk for an audit if you're like a sole proprietor, right? So that's why everybody in this program, we get LLC set up, you're running a professional business, you have business bank accounts, you're separating yourself. Because quite frankly, if you're a sole proprietor, like, it's just, they assume you don't know what you're doing, quite frankly. So
I would almost even go one further on that. And if you're reporting on a Schedule E, then it doesn't really matter if you're an LLC or whatever. So if you can set your LLC up as a partnership between you and a significant other, then you're getting a K1 instead of having all that stuff out there for the IRS to look at on your 1040. So just food for thought.
Yeah, thanks.
Interesting.
Mitch, you an accountant?
By night, yes, by night.
Okay.
I've been doing a lot.
Oh man, you guys are dangerous.
It pumps me up. I know that's the problem. I know enough to be dangerous. Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah,
You guys
Marcie
are dangerous.
cringes when we get on the phone.
You're reconciling again, Mike.
I do have one other question about bank
Yes.
accounts, because there's been a couple mentions of doing a business bank account.
Mhm.
Now, I actually, before I was doing Airbnb, I just had regular rental properties, and I have like a secondary personal checking account. It's not technically a business account, and I just use that strictly for business. For the IRS purposes, is there a difference whether the bank sets it up as a personal account or a business account? Am I getting myself in hot water by using a quote unquote personal account for the business?
You know, Mike might be better to speak to that. Basically, when you set yourself up in a business account, you're establishing yourself as a business. You're establishing maybe an ability to get credit and that kind of thing. And that might not be like a goal of yours. But the important thing is, like, it's not illegal for you to use a personal business account for business expenses. And it's not illegal to use a personal credit card in your business. You just want to keep it separated so it's very clear for bookkeeping purposes, because the last thing you want to do is go through bank statements and pick out what's personal and what's business. That just creates a lot of bookkeeping work. And it also, you just want to, like, as a general rule, the more separate you are in your business, the better. You just don't want to see a lot of crossover. The IRS doesn't like that. So keep everything separate. Yeah. So Mike, do you have anything to say about using a personal account in the business?
I don't, and again, I don't want to get into like tax advice, to be totally honest, but I would ask your CPA. I have heard similar things that it's okay. You just want to keep it separate. But I think for me, having a business account with like my, EIN number, it's like black and white that like this is a business account. Even the credit cards now, like I opened a business credit card. I have heard that it's not a big deal to use a personal credit card, which is fine. And I did that for a couple of years. Now I have a business credit card that I don't do personal things on. But yeah, I would just ask your CPA, Bernie, that specific question. My initial gut is it's not a big deal, but I would definitely, double check that.
Yeah, and it's also not illegal to like use your business credit card to buy something personal. You pulled out the wrong card. It just creates more work for yourself, and it's like, you can definitely remove it from your business and categorize it as a personal expense, but I think it's just best practice to keep them separate, and your bookkeeper will like that a lot, especially if it's yourself.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool.
You're welcome.
What else, guys? Tommy, you've been quiet. Anything you got, buddy? Oh, did I catch you sleeping? All right, we'll let Tommy off the hook. Okay, cool. Any other questions, guys, for Marcie? All right. Marcie, how can everybody get in touch with you or follow up with you and learn more about Organized Gains?
Well, I can share the link to our website if you want to take a look at that. And for Mike's students, I'll offer a free consultation to anybody who wants to chat about their business specifics, about anything that's going on. And also I have a free like custom chart of accounts that's specifically for short-term rental, as well as like a little training on trust accounting. So
awesome. Thank you very much.
yes, you can set up an appointment with me. Organizedgains.com is our website, and maybe Mike, you could share that.
Sure. Cool. Awesome.
All right, guys,
well, thank you so much for joining us, Marcie. I really appreciate it.
It was nice meeting you all, and I really just look up to all of your business courage. I know this business can be a lot of ups and downs, and just like kudos for you guys going for it. I love it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right, guys, I'm going to go through, we'll hang on and go through any other questions that you guys have, and then I'll jump to the Facebook group. Hopefully you guys found that helpful. Again, Marcie's been a big asset to my business, especially as I've scaled. Just having another set of eyes that is reconciling all the bank accounts and making sure I'm not missing anything. It's been a big help. So I would definitely take her up on her free consultation. She definitely knows her stuff. She's been awesome. Like I said, I've known her for a couple of years. She works with a lot of heavy hitters in the industry, and she knows her stuff. So that being said, what are the questions we got today? Whoever wants to go first, just unmute yourself and we'll kick things off.
All right, Mike, I'll give it a shot, Stephen.
Hey.
We got our, it's always a long story, right? That's how I start every call. We still don't have ownership of the thing. We're supposed to sign tonight. It got delayed, yada, yada. Bottom line, though, is
okay.
we pulled the bull by the horns and actually listed this thing on Saturday for late March and on.
Okay.
We took a gamble, and when we already have 4 listings. I have I think 26 nights of bookings, a 7, 2 7s, a 6, and a 12er. So it's going very well. First thing I noticed was with smartbnb, we were sending out the auto thank you email, but in 3 out of the 4 cases, they had actually emailed us with some questions, and we were getting responses. Well, thank you very much for the quick response, but you didn't really answer what we asked. So I was going to put a disclaimer either right at the top or bottom and say, look, this is an auto-generated response. Thank you for your inquiry. Should you have any further questions, we'll be reviewing this, and just acknowledging it. Do you put something similar in, or do you shy away from that?
It depends. So it depends on like the sequencing of your messages. So the automated messages typically don't kick in until like the booking is confirmed. So you're saying that you got a confirmation, but they had questions that we didn't answer?
Yeah, and it sounds like we're out of sync.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, no, I'll go back and review that. I will say that, we're definitely learning on the fly, right? It's because after a booking comes in is when we start to see what the options are post-booking in terms of changing price and giving a new offer. Like we had one where we had the 20% discount turned on, and yet, as you know, our first two were our in-laws. So the third one was a booking, and she had booked with the wrong credit card. So immediately she canceled and rebooked, and that became the fourth booking, but she didn't get her 20%. So that allowed me that, we went back, she didn't even realize it, but we were up front and just say, hey, let you know that this happened, because it was right in the title of our booking. So, she was bound to find out. And we went back and I learned how to adjust the booking fee. So it was cool. I mean, all these learnings are occurring on the fly, right? So, I mean, it's been very good. It's just that with the smartbnb, I'm really having to look on how to fine tune that, because I find that can get out of control if you're not careful.
Well, in your case, you turned instant booking off, correct?
No, instant booking is on for the 5 stars.
Okay, then that's fine. Then it's just double checking to make sure that you're answering questions, because you don't want to hold them up from booking. But if you want to tweak the message, for sure, right? Like I'm giving you guys a framework, but if you want to tweak it and you find that it works a little better for your business, buy more, have at it for sure, right? Like I don't want you to think, you can't change anything. This is just a framework to give you guys.
Totally agree. I just know that last week, you had brought up the fact of someone had mentioned, do you put the auto booking on? Or I think it's in your course, right? Do people shy away from an answer that's too quick because it feels robotic? But I don't think so. I think it just acknowledges, hey, we're here. But at the same time, I'm letting you know this is an automated message, and we will get back to you shortly. So
yeah, you can even just tweak the first sentence of, here's your automated booking confirmation or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. No, that was it. Very straightforward. Just wanted to, voice it out loud.
Okay, cool. Awesome. And congrats on the bookings. That's awesome. You might want to tweak your headline now, though, if it still says 20% off, because it's only for the first 3.
Oh yeah, it's down to 10, and only if you do a week or more. So.
Oh, beautiful.
It's all good.
Awesome. Congrats. It's exciting.
Thank you. And Price Lab is working. So the whole, and it sent the August code. So everything just seems to be working. And the cleaners have been in. We've synced the calendars with the cleaner. Cleaner confirmed it. And so it's just a matter of the next step is having that first person. Well, next step is closing the damn house.
It's nice when you're making money on properties you don't own yet, though.
Scary shit, right? Like, I have crazy. We were there on Thursday. They shut the water off on it because someone in the closing side of things had actually put the request in, got it turned on, but had to put it in our name. Not a big deal. No one's in there but us. Power comes on tomorrow, but bottom line is this international seller sent over the FERPTA documentation, but forgot to include the title in the package. So it's pretty hard to get the mortgage without the title. So, it's all these just little stupid nuances. Apparently he's buying another house, so it's potential the title got put in the wrong package that got sent from New Zealand. But the guy's asleep because it's 3 a.m. in New Zealand. So, now we wait and hopefully close tomorrow, but we'll see. So
nice.
But there's focus on the good things, right?
That's it. Gratitude's the key, my friend.
There you go.
Awesome. Tommy, I think you posted a question in the group, right? I'll unmute you. There we go.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep, you're good.
Sorry, my phone was just going off same time. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm like looking at this thing and I'm wondering why am I missing this? But so I'm under co-hosting section, and I don't see where the income is showing.
Can you share your screen?
Sure.
And then just repeat the question, just for everybody that didn't see it in the Facebook group.
Let's get to this. Video. Just trying to share my screen here. Here we go. I got it. Sorry, I don't know why Mac wants me to open my preferences and give privacy.
It's all good.
It's gonna make me quit Zoom for some reason.
Okay. So let me see if I can pull up
I'm gonna do that right
the
now.
analyzer on my end.
Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that, but yeah, because so the question was basically, where's the cleaning revenue? Where is that basically showing up in our STR analyzer? Because I am not seeing it. What I'm seeing is the average daily rate and occupancy rate. I'm plugging that in, and that is calculating a projected revenue, and that's it.
So this is baked in the cleaning fee. Okay, so the data that you're seeing from AirDNA is including any cleaning fees. So it's like total revenue. So it's baked in here.
Okay, so I didn't know that. So all AirDNA data has cleaning fees factored in already.
Correct. Because they can't control that, right? Like some people might charge nothing, some people might charge 100. So they just take the total quote unquote revenue that you're collecting and putting it in here. Plus
okay.
most folks like us, we're making money on that cleaning fee.
Well, then that makes sense. I just didn't understand that it was already in those numbers.
Yep. No, cool. Good clarification.
Okay. So then, yeah, then we're good. I got excited. I was like, oh man, I think but I figured something was up there because I was like, there's no way you had this thing wrong. But I was like, man, there's some extra income there. Would be nice.
I'm not perfect, so if I'm missing something, I want you guys to point.
Yeah,
out.
I'm like sitting there, I'm like feeling like how am I overlooking this? But all right, that makes sense.
Okay, cool.
But everything else is good. I don't know if it was last call or the call before where I had I told you I was going out and meeting. So I went out, I did the meeting, everything is great. So I'm going to get the property. So I'm stoked.
Bam! Let's go.
So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, we need the air horn.
Yeah, it's a nice single family home down by the ocean. So
love it.
But they have some serious renovating to do. So it is going to be a little bit, that's the only downfall to it. But I'll be patient with it. But it'll be a good earner for sure. Like the properties around there are pulling in, like revenue wise, two of them the same neighborhood are pulling in over 100K.
Wow.
So, yeah, it'll be a
nice.
So that's why I'm like, I've
Awesome.
I've done some flips myself. So I'm kind of helping them in the whole thing. Just the quicker it can go, the better it is for me. The more that they see I'm vested in there with them and helping them, the more they want to work with me. But I also know them, on a personal level too. So it's a good setup. Yep.
I love that.
I'm stoked for that.
So what is it, a co-host deal?
Yeah. Yep.
Nice.
Co-host deal. And I'll be going at 20%.
Beautiful. I love it.
Because the numbers should be pretty big. So, and that's actually something, do you consider that at all? If you're getting into some of these properties I've been looking at, there could be some, potential for quite a bit of revenue, and to where, I could be bringing in $3-4 grand a month. And I'm just looking at it from their perspective where it's kind of like, is it justified? So if you're looking at higher end properties, do you consider adjusting your percentage, you know, to kind of suit that?
Yeah, for sure. But I don't look at it as can I justify, because without you, they're not going to make shit.
Right.
Right. So remember that, and don't ever sell yourself short. But if I'm in negotiation with somebody and they're going back and forth and I like the deal, like I've gone to 20%.
Yeah.
In the past, I've gone all the way down to 15. I don't do that anymore.
Yep.
But now I do 20% plus the technology fee of 120 a month.
Yep.
And that's the lowest I'll go.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, I like to start at 25. Like that's the ideal rate for full service property management, right? Or co-hosting, whatever you want to call it. I like to use the term co-hosting, I would just call it co-hosting, but yeah, I mean, if it works at 20% and you're still making money, I'd do the deal all day, right?
No, I'm happy with it. So yeah, that's
awesome,
good.
man. Congrats. So that'll be what, three listings?
Say it again.
What's that? 3 listings?
Well, so this would be 2. The second one, which is this downstairs unit of the upstairs unit that I'm managing right now, is being held off a little bit longer. So they decided to bring in someone they had guaranteed money for 3 months, and they kind of made a verbal commitment, so they didn't want to back out on it. So he's in there for 3 months, and then they'll flip it over. So
sweet.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then, like I said, I've just been hammering through deals and just trying to find what I can around here. So I feel like it's slim pickings, but you gotta,
quality over quantity, right? Like, yeah, you go through a lot of deals, but now you find one that might make you 20, 30 grand a year. Boom. I'd rather have that than a bunch of properties that are going to pump out 10 grand a year.
Well, that's kind of the attitude I'm taking with it. So
awesome. Well, congrats, man. I'm pumped for you. That's friggin' awesome.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm excited.
So keep us posted. I want to see pictures of this too.
Yep.
And it's good for you too. Even just, one of the things that I learned at that conference a couple weeks ago, the marketing conference I went to, was just optimize your personal social media pages. All right. Like if you look at my personal Facebook page now, like you'll see like the cover photo is all about teaching people Airbnb. Like leverage that so that when people see your profile, they think of you as the Airbnb guy in your market, right? So putting in photos of these properties as you're doing them, it's just another marketing tool that people are seeing what you're up to.
Yeah, it's definitely a good point.
Cool. Let's see. Bernie, you got anything, buddy?
Yeah, I have one statement, one question. So first of all, that one guy that I've been working with to list his property, I am going tomorrow to meet him and sign everything and explain to him the process. So that's like 99% done. So I'm excited about that and a little nervous about how to have him how to have him delete his other listing and go and all that. But I'll take it as I go along. The one question I have, and I know last week you asked us to share with each other a little bit, but I have a situation and I had told you about the one guy that I had turned down, right? I turned him down because he was going to be a big pain in the butt and the property didn't match all my stuff. But now that he's almost done with 3 of his units, he's bugging me to list them for him. And I'm like, no. So I know we're out here trying to bust our butts to get people, and I feel like even though I don't want to deal with them, I don't want to waste them. Should I offer him up to see if somebody else wants to deal with him? I mean, or should we say if he's garbage for me, he's going to be garbage for everybody else and not to push my trash on? I mean, in some ways, I'd like to give it someone for once so he gets off my back, but am I doing him a service or disservice?
You mean somebody in the group here?
Yeah, somebody in the group. Because this guy has 3 properties ready and 3 properties to go, so it's 6 properties altogether. If somebody wants to deal with them and deal them with remotely and I'll disclose everything of why I don't want to do it, and if they want to take it on.
Let's just air it out. So what are the pros and cons of this deal? What are the pros first?
The pros is he redid the units. It's a 4-plex. The first unit is a 4-plex. He's got a 10 and a 1, and he redid the 3 other units, right? So the 3 other units on the inside, they're like new, pretty much like new. He redid everything, and actually he did a better job than I thought from when I visited them. He showed me some pictures. So that's part of the pro right there. And he's definitely an out-of-state investor. He's actually out of the country. He's out of Israel. So he doesn't come here at all. So he's doing everything remotely. So he definitely needs someone to do it for him. I already shared with him the contract. You know, I told him it's 25%. He's got no problem with that, and he's asked him to do that. So those are the pros. The cons are he doesn't see how I would spend $15,000 furnishing the place. But you know, that's something I told him if we get to it, I'll go through everything we want to buy. So I'm feeling that he's going to start nickel and diming everything in that. Some of the other cons are like it has a shower and not a bathtub. You know, so that's actually now that we're getting closer. It's probably more minor. It's a 3-bedroom, kind of like a brownstone, 3 bedrooms upstairs with a full bath and a shower upstairs, but no bathroom downstairs, which is kind of weird. The curb appeal of the house is not great. Like he redid everything on the inside, but it's got a kind of a beat up looking porch and a beat up door. And like that's the first thing when the people walk in. And it's not in the greatest neighborhood. It's one of these neighborhoods that they're turning around, but it's not turned around yet. So, you know,
Yeah.
I'm afraid that there's going to be like bad reviews just for the neighborhood.
Okay.
So that's pretty much the thing. And I have feedback from other people that tried working with them as property managers, you know, for his rentals, that the guys are paying the button, they fired him.
So, I mean, you can post it in the Facebook group and do an outline of the pros and cons and do a video if you want to put it out there.
Okay.
My initial thought is, yes, it's going to get somebody a deal quick, but it's going to give them a bad taste of like, man, this business sucks. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. Because it sounds like this guy's going to be up their ass and bust chops and be
Right.
all over him all the time. I mean, it's your business. It's everybody on here's business. So you can decide who you want to work with and who you don't. I am at a point now where I refuse to work with people that I don't want to work with. I just say no. Like it's not worth it for me. But if somebody else wants to take it on and give it a shot, that's fine. I would just get clear on what the why is and where they're going. Like, do they want to build a portfolio out in your neck of the woods? If they do, great. If not, okay. So you got a couple listings. Is this guy going to refer you more listings? It's just doing your own analysis, right?
Right.
You know, I just passed the lead to somebody in the group earlier today because I'm just not taking on any more properties right now. Like, I'm just not. So there's somebody local. One of our students here is local. He's got a couple of listings up and running. He's doing well. I felt comfortable passing him this listing, and if he gets it, great. If he doesn't, that's fine. But you know, it's up to you. You know, I'm not going to tell you not to post it. You can post it. I would just be upfront about the pros and cons. And yeah, that's it.
All right. I'll do that. I'll do that tomorrow or the next day.
Okay, cool.
That's all I got.
Sweet. Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Lucas, you're up, buddy. I think you're still muted if you're talking. There we
Is
go.
the other Lucas on, or is it just me? Okay, I know the other Lucas is usually on. So,
Yeah, what's up, buddy? How are you?
doing good, man. Doing good. Yeah, I don't
Listing
really
looks
have any
great.
questions. What's that?
The listing looks great.
Thanks, man. It's doing really well. It's pretty cool. By next month, I'll already have the entire furnishings paid off. I'll bring in $10K next month because of South by Southwest in Austin. So,
Love it.
yeah, I just got the license. So that's my first license in Austin. So a little nervous about next year when we have to renew. I'm not sure if they're going to check to see if the homestead exemption is on again. So not a beautiful situation with that, but I know I at least have one good year, and then the homeowner is willing to change the homestead exemption back if we need to. But just bought like $1 million house and kind of needs it on that homestead, wants the homestead on that right now. So, so at least he waited through that process when we did the licensing. So So yeah, don't love that. I obviously want it to last a few more years, so it makes me a little bit uncomfortable. The only thing I was going to ask then is where in the class, I finally got that new August in one of my houses and want to be sending that directly, the codes to them. What video and what part of the class does it show how to set that up?
So that is only through Guesty. So at some point, if you upgrade and go through Guesty, you'll be able to send them messages through AirBnB. So that's why I
Gotcha.
recommend that lock, because it's like compatible with the next system if you go that route.
Interesting. So there's no way to automatically do that through Airbnb. It's only a compatibility that Guesty built in.
Correct. So
Interesting.
it will still email them the codes. It works the same as the August locks currently do. But if you needed it to go directly through Airbnb, I married like a couple different systems through Guesty. Like Marcie was talking about earlier, there's no perfect system. We just kind of duct tape a bunch of stuff together to make it work. So now we use, all that you do is you take that red August chip out of that lock and you put a green Z-Wave chip in, and then that hooks into Samsung SmartThings, which hooks into this other company Lynx, which then hooks into Guesty. So again, like I haven't taught it in here. That's going to be for the elite group, because it's a lot more complicated and it really only makes sense when you're at like scale.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to keep things simple. And quite frankly, how many units are you at, Lucas, now?
3 going on 4 right now. I lost the 2 in January. So,
Okay.
but yeah.
Yeah, so I would say, you know, we can talk offline too, a little bit more about like the next system, but I would say until you hit like 5-6 listings, I would let August ride, because it's totally doable.
But you're saying through August actually set it up, because it's not automatically doing that, and I haven't set up anything where it's automatically emailing them. So
yeah, so in August,
yeah,
and I put a video, let me just find it. It should be
yeah,
in
it's
there.
like
Let
I
me
can look
find
at
it
the
in the
video.
course.
So I just was kind of looking around for it and couldn't find.
Let me pull it up. Yeah, so it's under automation secrets. Let me share my screen just so you can find it next time. So if you go all the way down to this right here,
Yep.
and then you hit automating property access,
Okay.
this is the video that'll walk you through how to link it up with Airbnb and get it to send the messages automatically.
Sweet. That's great. Link to Airbnb, send it. But weren't you just saying, okay, but you were saying it doesn't automatically send it through Airbnb unless you have the Guesty, right?
So it'll email it to them.
Right.
It just doesn't send it through the Airbnb app.
Through Airbnb app. Okay.
Yeah.
And then do you only send it that way then? So you're like, if before when you didn't have the compatibility you had now, like you're depending on them to get that email and look at that.
Yes. And then at your stage where you're getting some good revenue, you could hire a virtual assistant to double check the codes and send it to them if you want. Like that's what I did before I got on Guesty. I had a virtual assistant that worked like 4 hours a day, and like she checked to make sure the cleaners showed up. She would double check to make sure the guests had their code, so she could look it up in August and then send the guest the code through Airbnb or through smartbnb.
Okay, so she would send it that way too. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I'd like to have them have it both ways, just because I just had a guest show up and of course didn't go through the process and then couldn't get August, and is, you know,
Yeah.
like 1 a.m. and it happened to be the one night I wasn't sleeping. Like
Yeah.
phone rang and I picked it up, but otherwise, you know, there's a guest stranded and you know how that
Yeah.
goes. So.
Yeah, so there's
Cool, man.
another module I recorded in here around how I hired that virtual assistant.
Okay,
It's into the team Rolodex here.
awesome.
So that's another resource for you if you want to go that route, because it will be cheaper to go that way for a while before you get into Guesty if you decide to go that route when you add some more units.
Okay,
Like I was paying her like $350 a month. It's like 3 something an hour over in the Philippines to just do some like repetitive stuff every day for me.
yeah, that sounds amazing. Okay, cool, man. I'll give that a look. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Hey, just to
All
speak
right.
further on that since he's getting into this, because that's one of the things, like one of the most important things is with this August, you know, with the way that we're doing it, is I always make sure, like, I'm checking before every check-in, and I'm going into my August app, and I'm looking to see that they moved from invitation to actual guest. And if you don't see that they didn't make that move, then you need to be all over them. Basically, I do it through the AirBnB app, and I'm just like hounding them to get it done. That's like the biggest pain in the ass I have to deal with, honestly. Yeah, that's really important because you can end up in an issue. So, and you know, as soon as they actually download the app, they become a guest, and then you're good to go.
Yep.
One thing I did, I ended up taking a copy of one of the emails that they get sent, and I put it in the automation. I just took out the names and just basically had them. I put it in the smartbnB to automatically send them the message to download the August log, because they don't have to actually get the email from August log. Once it's sent to them, they can still just log in if they have to link to August log.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yep. Yeah, because in the confirmation email, it says that they'll get an email from August, but again, people don't read. So that was one thing that, again, I had my VA do every day. When you've got a couple listings, it's not bad, but when you start getting, 4, 5, 6 listings, it starts to add up pretty quick. So I would just have her go in like the day of and message the guests their code and just let them know, like, hey, this code is going to be effective at check-in. Like, if you show up early, it's not going to work. You're not getting in until 4 o'clock. So, all right, let me check.
Thanks, guys. That's helpful.
Let me check the Facebook group here. All right, Chad said, after several years, I finally decided to approve a small gathering at my property. It went very well, and the guest was extremely responsive and respectful of my property. My property has a very large backyard and is a good place to host events such as graduation parties. What I'm curious is what I should be charging for said event if I do one in the future. Is there any information on renting personal home as an event space? My property can host up to 10 guests. The group had 8 sleep over and 14 guests came over to celebrate for about 6 hours. I ended up charging $300 for the additional guests for the night. The guests cleaned up themselves and the cleaning did not take any longer than normal. That's awesome. I have not done anything with hosting events, so I'll be totally honest with you, like, I have no experience with that. I think for you, it's just setting up whatever your rate's going to be for the day and just making sure that you have a way to monitor that property effectively so that, graduation party, you're not pissing off any neighbors if you've got music going or if you need a permit for any music that they're going to be playing outside. I would just check into all of that. But yeah, I mean, I would just come up with like some flat fee for an event. If they want to host, an event at the property, okay, it's $300 or $500, whatever it is, for whatever is going to make you feel comfortable having them and for whatever other precautions that you need to take to make sure the space is ready to go. So I'm glad it went well for you, though. That's awesome. Let's see. Yeah, Lucas, you had another question about the online lead source, which was HotPads. So thank you, other Lucas, for mentioning that. Sean McLaughlin, has anyone ever run into an issue with Airbnb blocking your hosting account because of a false claim? I had a not so pleasant guest who checked out last week and we put in a request for the damaged items. He declined and now I was reported for having surveillance cameras inside the house, which I don't. I have exterior cameras which are disclosed in the house rules. I have a guest checking in on Thursday, but I can't even communicate with them. Sean, I would call Airbnb right away and explain the situation and just say, hey, like, I have guests checking in. I need to be a good host. We don't have any cameras in the property. We have external cameras, which are disclosed in the listing. So please get back to me ASAP. And I would just continue to pound the phone until they friggin' got you an answer. Like that's exactly what I would do. I'd be relentless until they got me an answer. Let's see. Jamie said, question of the group, I have an inquiry from someone with zero Airbnb history. What questions do you ask to qualify them to rent, or is this a deal breaker? It's not a deal breaker because most people are brand new. They just need to have a completed profile. So name, email, phone number, government issued ID, and then just ask them what's bringing them to the area and who's going to be staying at the property, right? If it's a party that you're not comfortable with, okay, that's fine. Don't accept it. But if it's, you know, a family that's coming with some kids or whatever, then that's fine. But I just like to get a sense of who's going to be at the property and why are they coming in the area.
I also like to let them know, you know, what the policies are too with the property. Quiet hours. I always tell them what the quiet hours are. I let them know there's no party policy because it's good
100%.
to let them know right then and there before they actually book. And I've had people that, you know, they didn't like that and they didn't book. And it's like, those are the people you don't want to book.
100%, Tommy. Great point. Yep. This is a noise sensitive property, I like to say, right? We have noise sensitive neighbors. So if you're planning on having a gathering there, you know, you're going to have some late nights, probably isn't the best property for you. And I don't want to be, you know, a party pooper once you get there and spend the money. So it might not be the best fit for you guys. Let's see. Chad said, I had a guest stay with me that was clearly trying to complain to induce a refund. She asked for a 60% refund and Airbnb sided with me. Yeah, he posted what he was going to write in the review. Jody is a host nightmare. I would not recommend renting to her. I've been hosting for several years and have had consistently great reviews. Jody's complaints about my property completely contradicted the majority of reviews I've received, including the guests that stayed immediately before and after. I can only imagine this could be for two reasons. One, she is incredibly entitled. The other is that she is looking for any angles to try and press for a refund. And since she requested a large size refund from me, I'm going to guess it's the latter. For the record, Airbnb sided with me. I would not post that review. Absolutely not. It's just fueled with emotion and it's just not the look you're going to want to go as a professional operator. Okay, I would state the facts. What did this guest do? You know, what were some things that she complained about that were clearly spelled out in the listings? Apologize that, you know, the listing wasn't a good fit or whatever. She did request a refund, which was denied by Airbnb, as our listing description was, you know, accurate or whatever. But I would take all that emotion out. So just a rule of thumb, never let your ego get in the way of your wallet, as I like to say. So if somebody, you know, is an ass, like, let it sit for a little while before you write the review, because you're going to want a clear head and you're going to want to cool down before you let your emotions get involved. Like, I absolutely would not post this review at all. So hopefully that helps, Chad. Does anyone require a guest to read and acknowledge a pre-booking message? If so, what does yours say? Not really sure what you're asking, Jamie. To acknowledge a pre-booking message. I don't think so. Again, they can instant book if they meet the criteria. If they don't, then they have to have a completed profile and let us know what they're coming to the area for and who's staying at the property. So if that's what you mean by pre-booking message, then yes. Lucas Mayet asked, I have a guest coming in today, hasn't received the August invite. How can I resend the email for him to download the app? There is a way to do it. You can just add them as a guest, or I would just go in and get their access code and just send them the access code. It's going to be easier. So if you're going with the,
because I have that issue where, same thing he's talking about, I can't resend the August invitation. So I literally have to cancel them as a guest and then redo it again. And I called August support to ask them if there was a better way of doing it, and they told me that was the way to do it. They told me to delete them and put them back in.
okay.
So if you got a way
what I typically would do is I would just send them the code. Like, I wouldn't even waste time resending an invite. If they can't use the app, I don't really care. They'll have the code to get in.
Oh, you see the PIN code for the keypad.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Like they each have their own access codes. So I would just send them that. I wouldn't get into like deleting and re-adding them just so that they could have some phone app. Like 99% of the people that I had didn't even use the phone app it just adds another layer of complication. So I just want to make sure that they have their access code.
Okay.
Let's see. I think that's it for this week, guys, for questions in the group. So anybody have anything else that they want to bring up? No? All right, cool. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully you found that presentation from Marcie helpful. Again, make sure that you're tracking your stuff. I've talked about a bunch on these coaching calls, but I'll probably, if I haven't already, I'll record a little something to put it in the course itself to just give some guidelines on how I did it initially before I brought on a bookkeeper. I just kept it like stupid simple. Like I used like a Google sheet that was like a template for a financial statement, and I would just add it in. Like I just kept it really, really simple. And that's pretty much it, guys. So hopefully you guys got some value out of this. Any last questions before we get out of here?
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Thank you. Have a good week. I'll talk to you guys next week.
Thank you.
Bye.